Well, they have. And I guess the question is, great question, did they do enough? I don't know that they've done enough. I'm not sure that I agree with what they've done so far. I mean, they've acquired two pitchers, a shortstop, and a second baseman. I don't know if these are the right guys. Now, they must think in their analytics department that they can fix Lance Lynn, former Cardinal heavy duty starter, White Sox guy, but he starts tomorrow night against the Oakland Athletics. And as he unpacks his suitcase, what's in his luggage? A 6.42 ERA, 28 home runs allowed in 12 starts. Something's not right with the guy. He's still throwing heat. He's still striking guys out, but they're hitting the ball out of the yard. So the Dodgers analytics people must see something that tells them we can make an adjustment. And I don't know whether it's a release point or it's stride off the mound. We can adjust so that his heat becomes unhittable again, because he was a real warrior as a starting pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
So Lance Lynn, to me, was a bit of a surprise. Joe Kelly was not. He's a feisty, set-up relief guy who wants the ball as often he can get the ball. He does pitch a lot of games. Of course, prior to that, they had made the trade for the young shortstop from Cleveland, Ahmed Rosario. Maybe with a better batting order around him, he's going to hit better. Maybe he'll play better defense. His defense is not what it was when he first got to Cleveland from the Mets. And then they traded for super utility guy Kiki Hernandez, who's like Chris Taylor, suddenly shows up and gets a big hit, doesn't do it on a night-by-night basis. Here's the big storyline as it relates to that guy, Andrew Friedman, because he has the history of making significant deals, and a significant name, John, is still out there for the Dodgers to go after. We're talking Justin Verlander. Baseball guys that I network with tell me the Mets want a bunch of the Dodgers kid pitchers. Dodgers are going to have to give up somebody. It's not going to be Bobby Miller, but it might be any of those other young AAA guys you and I have talked about. But the Dodgers also want the Mets to pay a portion of the Verlander contract. His number this year is $43 million. We're halfway through that, so they owe him probably $18 to $20 million. $43 million next year. Because of what the Mets paid to make the Texas Ranger deal, they paid a chunk of Max Scherzer's contract going to Arlington. Dodgers want the Mets to do the same if Verlander's coming to Dodger Stadium. That becomes an issue because last I checked, the Mets and the Dodgers are in the National League. They don't want to have to face this guy a bunch of times while paying him a bunch of money.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the big issue. The other issue is Verlander has a vesting option after 24 for the 2025 season, and the Dodgers want that vesting option removed. If we're taking this guy on and giving up our prospects and all our money, we don't want to be saddled with a then 42-year-old pitcher if he's not pitching well. So there's some complications to make this thing work. The question is, does Steve Cohen want to remove the contract from the New York Mets payroll, and is he willing to write another check like he did in the Scherzer Texas deal to get Verlander here? So I don't think they're done, but Andrew Friedman obviously wants some things changed in the Verlander package. It's amazing. The Dodgers have acquired 4 players and have yet to give up any of the Bobby Blue Chip guys at AAA. Go ahead. You're a Dodger fan, more or less.
Well, sort of. I mean, Verlander, it's amazing that now he's in the mix with the Dodgers, because they usually always find a way to get the hot guy. You know, they got Scherzer a couple of years ago. There's always been that history. But yeah, it just seems that, Verlander is well over 40. I mean, at some point, he's going to fall off a cliff and not be very productive. But you look at Lance Lynn, that guy's been around for a long time, and he just throws the ball straight and fast. And at some point, they're going to catch up to that. He may not be a top performer for the Dodgers. I mean, maybe he's going to be slotted in the number 4 or 5 on the rotation. What do you think, Lee?
Well, here's the history. I mean, the Dodgers, I went back and did some digging on this story today. The Dodgers starting rotation in the month of July, starters, July 1st to tonight, 6.31 ERA.
Ooh.
6.31 ERA. They have been keeping baseball statistics of this sort since 1912. This is the worst month in the history of Dodger baseball for any other starters
Wow.
dating back to 1912. So Lance Lynn comes in, gives him innings, throws some fastballs. Maybe they can make an adjustment to his release point or his stride off the rubber to see if they can get back to what he was. Because dude giving up 28 home runs in half a season. Nobody does that in Major League Baseball. So, but as a third or fourth guy, I would trust him, but I don't like the fact he's given up the number of bombs that he's giving up. You know, the Dodgers are holding their breath because they've obviously outside of their ace, they're really scuffling and struggling. They hope to get Kershaw back within 10 days. He's had 2 very aggressive bullpen sessions, has not had a recurrence of the shoulder. They don't know whether they should send him to AAA to let him max out and throw one start and see how his body is. Julio Urias is just really running hot and cold. The kid pitchers outside of Bobby Miller are just totally overwhelmed. So they're really wafer thin. So Lynn comes in and he's going to give them innings, hopefully without lots of home runs. Okay, so that's where we are with the Dodgers. We're sitting and waiting to see if they change the mailing address from Justin Verlander from Citi Field, New York to Chavez Ravine. Let's talk